we have to tell our students, our children, if they see something, hear something, or something strange happens on the internet, on an app, they have to feel like they can tell us. We can unravel the mess, but if you hide it, it just can be so dangerous and can go down a rabbit hole that we just don't want. It's okay to tell us that you made a mistake on the internet or on an app, but you have to tell when it feels dangerous so that we can support to help you get out.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast, your trusted source for real-world tactics that keep students safe and help them to shine online. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. Each week, I sit down with K-12 superintendents, district leaders, and community voices who are shaping digital safety. We discuss wins, struggles, and strategies used to guide students so they can be safe and successful online. Now let's get back to the conversation.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rathke. I'm the superintendent in Eastern Carver County Schools. We have about 9,000 students across 15 sites. We're a suburban district, 2 ring layers out from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Superintendent, it's so great to have you here today on the Smart Social podcast, where we talk a lot about safety, and then we're going to talk about some parent engagement strategies. We're going to talk about some dialogue starters at the end. I'm super pumped to have you here today. And what I'm also pumped about is to ask you, I want to get to know you for a quick sec. Where did you start your education career? Did you start as a teacher? And if so, what type of teacher were you?
Yes, I was in the classroom for a decade, and I always talk about that. I was a teacher longer than I've been an administrator. I spent time in classrooms with kids. It was a really hard decision to leave students. I was a physical education teacher, a health teacher. So, of course, this topic is really important to me around mental health and how we use our lifestyle. So I went from the classroom to the superintendency through principalship, assistant principalship, assistant superintendent. And so a long journey to here.
Well, it's great to have you. I want you to put on that teacher hat, the principal hat today, because we're going to dive into, as our audience knows, it's all about keeping kids safe so they're successful in the future. And Smart Social is really good at navigating those digital waters with a lot of tough parenting, a lot of dialogue, and a lot of reasonableness, parents. So you know that Smart Social is not here to shame you at all. These are ideas in a menu that you can choose to use. And the tips and suggestions we're going to share with you on this podcast work nationwide with thousands of parents. And if they don't work perfectly for you right now, that's okay. Set them aside. They might work in the future. All right. First, I want to dive in, Superintendent. After 220 to 230 conversations with your peers nationwide, superintendents in 45 plus states, we've heard a consistent trend. We're hearing that students are growing up in a digital world filled with powerful tech, AI, and social media. But in some cases, they lack the maturity and the guidance to use it safely. The result is more student absences sometimes, lower focus, rising cyberbullying, declining self-esteem, and AI misuse in the classroom. Now, you may be thinking, and maybe you say this, I'm going to ask you a question in a minute. Josh, I have perfect little angels of students. We've never had an issue in the history of my superintendency. And if so, superintendent, we're going to come study you because we want to save lives everywhere. But we're also hearing in these conversations, this test I do so that Smart Social can save the most amount of lives with digital. We hear that parents are trying to raise good kids in a world they didn't grow up in, a world where now tech is moving faster than safety policies can try and keep up. And teens are so clever. They know how to hide apps and online behavior. This is what they're good at. And safety lessons usually come after a crisis. It's like whack-a-mole. What are we going to protect from next? We can't protect from everything, but we're going to do our best. Superintendent, are there any other trends on this topic that you've seen so we can alert other school districts before they see them?
I want to just say, this is a really interesting time in Minnesota. Just a handful of days ago, there was a school shooting in Minneapolis. And so I do want to touch, and I think parents are wondering, and that's really on top of mind as we send our kids back to school. So I just want to make this connection around social media and school safety. And I think one of the trends that we see is students are able to have connections all the time. When I was a kid and someone called to get to me when I got home, someone had to call and my parents could answer the phone on their landline. And that's not the case. Our kids have access to each other 100% of the time. And so there is no relief that I get to go home and feel safe in my family, in my home, in my space, because someone always can have access to me. So I think one trend we've seen is just an increase of communication outside of the school day that then comes back into the school, that then now the school has to approach and deal with and manage around safety, around discipline, around bullying. And so it is such an interesting time because we're not just spending time in schools dealing with our students and supporting our students when they're with us in our 4 walls.
Yeah, so well said. And it is a really difficult time right now, especially in your state with what's going on. What would you tell to parents on how to have that rich dialogue with their kids? We're kind of moving ahead, but this whole conversation will be about dialogue. I think that's the number one safety app in the world. We've been quoted on the news a whole lot, but what's something that parents can do to best talk about their kids so their kids feel safe on campus, at home? They feel like they can go to bed and there's less stress and anxiety about what's happening online and at school. You have any ideas there?
Yeah. I also want to just say I'm a parent, and it is hard to make decisions when your friends feel this peer pressure, your children feel this peer pressure because other parents aren't doing what you're saying. And of course, being an educator, my poor kids have had to face many more. I know more than maybe other parents do because of what I experienced in the school. So I just want to acknowledge it's super challenging. Our kids need breaks from phones. There has to be a period of time that they just get a break from their phone when they get home. The other thing that I would just say in terms of dialoguing is we have to tell our students, our children, if they see something, hear something, or something strange happens on the internet, on an app, they have to feel like they can tell us. We can unravel the mess, but if you hide it, it just can be so dangerous and can go down a rabbit hole that we just don't want. And so how do we tell our kids it's okay to tell us that you made a mistake on the internet or on an app, but you have to tell when it feels dangerous, yucky, uncomfortable, you're not sure, so that we can support to help you get out.
You know, I was interviewing a superintendent, I think it was just yesterday, maybe a couple days ago, and he said something interesting. He said, not only is you have to feel comfortable going to parents, but actually it was a superintendent yesterday, and there's a new thing out there that's been around for a while, but it's really targeting kids now. It's called sextortion. It's just devastating. That's where a little boy will get a like from, if he's 13, an assumed 13-year-old girl will send a photo, and they think they have a girlfriend relationship online. And the thing that saved one kid's life was in sextortion. For our audience members, if you come to one of our evening events all about strangers and dangers, we teach you the 7 steps of what law enforcement says of they befriend, they hide the conversation from the parents, they disappearing messages, they send an inappropriate image, they request an image from your child, and then they flip and they start extorting your kid for money, and kids will hurt themselves. The one thing that saved this kid's life was the kid did not feel comfortable going to the parents. And parents, we're saying this to you right now because we want them to feel comfortable with you, but they felt comfortable telling a sibling. And I want you to know that we all have this thing called it takes a village. Your school district loves you. Your principal loves you. Your teachers love you. Your counselors are there for your kids and you. But also, let's not forget about those siblings, older siblings, similar age siblings, cousins, aunts, and uncles. This one child was saved from that where the sibling went, no, everything's okay. Life is not over. Literally, life is over with some of these kids right now. And Superintendent, what are your thoughts on turning siblings into helpers?
Anyone that the student feels comfortable with or your child feels comfortable with, I know that's what I say to my daughter. If you can't tell me, here are all the safe people that you can tell, and help your children identify who is it. Maybe it is sibling, maybe it is a teacher, and having someone trusted that you trust and they trust that is not you is sometimes an easier pathway. And so I know I have those conversations with my kids. Here are your safe people if you feel like you can't tell me, and they'll give you great advice.
I love that. And then I trust them and they won't tell me, but I trust their guidance and they're your trusted. They're our little village, our circle, if you will. I love that. I heard something else. And again, this is off the cuff and we're going longer than I thought, but I love this. I saw this on social media, Superintendent, yesterday. You know how we all have a safe word, and all the parents, remember decades ago, there was a safe word in case a white van shows up to school and says, get in, your mom called me. Every family had a safe word. Safe words are coming back, and there's a safe emoji now. I love this tip from this mom. And I'm having so much fun, by the way, as you can tell, because this is all about keeping kiddos safe. But there's an emoji, and if your kid is over at either a sleepover or a hangout and they send that one safe emoji, then moms and dads are given the permission, and it's understood that the blame will go on the parents, but the parents are told, that is my emergency emoji. Something is wrong here. I am embarrassed to say I want to go home. Show up, and we're going to blame it on you, mom, but you know I need help. And that's that one emoji that other kids wouldn't know, like, come pick me up, right? I love that. Have you heard about safe words coming back so kids can say something to parents like, is this the real mom and dad online?
Yes, that is certainly something that we've heard about. I know I did that with my own children where they could text me something once they got their phones that meant I don't like what's happening right now at the place that I'm at. So I think it's a really great way to build trust with your kids. It's a great way to say you don't have to admit, you don't have to say come get me, because that they our children, as they evolve developmentally, it's hard to ask for help. It's hard to say I'm scared, it's hard to say I'm homesick, whatever it is. And so, how do you build a bridge between you and your child where they don't have to always tell you the whole thing, but they can just say, alert me, come get me, I need you. And it doesn't matter what time or where or when, we're coming.
Yeah. And the blame won't be on you, child. You can say, oh, Mom, I don't want to go. And if you send that, it's the bat call. I just love that. It's the Batman sign in the sky. Such a cool. And parents, for all of you listening right now, you're probably thinking, my kid's going to roll their eyes. I get it. And you know what? If you ever jump on a cruise ship, I've only been on one in my life. For the first hour, they take you outside and you learn how to put on the life vest. And guess what I did? I'm rolling my eyes when I did this. I'm like, I was an athletic swimmer and water polo player. Guess what? I was being a bozo. I was rolling my eyes like a teenager. Everybody needs to learn that life vest. Even if you roll your eyes, put every kid through the training of, we're going to have a word. We're going to, an emergency word or emoji or both. And we're going to talk about, if you see somebody online, if they roll their eyes, that means you're doing the right thing. You're having the dialogue they don't want to do, but it's for their best interest. And it's putting the life vest on so everybody on the cruise ship knows what to do if, heaven forbid, something were to happen. I'm a big believer that if you buy flood insurance, you may never have a flood. It's just one of those rules in life. Superintendent, did I get any of this wrong?
No, I love that analogy. I mean, we want our kids, we always say, I'm not your friend, but we do want our kids to love us and talk to us, and we want it so badly. And there's ways in which we have to do it, even when it's frustrating and annoying, like taking the phone and giving a break, or saying, I need to follow you on Snapchat, or, whatever it is. And I know that it gets frustrating for our kids sometimes. And it is one of the, people aren't getting taken out in neighborhoods anymore. It is really being stemmed from the internet and access and the ways in which our kids move through a space that we can't get into very quickly. And so how do we just put barriers and safeties in place and talk to our students? It's hard. Our kids, it's hard, but we have to do that because it is something they don't have the maturity always, or the developmental, state. They might not be in the developmental stage to be able to make a thoughtful decision in that moment. And so we just have to put guardrails in with our kids. And really what we know is kids might say they don't love it, but they love boundaries. It helps them understand where the road is.
I love it. We've heard from some kids when TikTok was shut down briefly, some kids looked at their moms and said, I hope it's shut down forever because I don't know how to put it down, Mom.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on into another very big topic for all of our audience members. We love you. If you're a superintendent, a parent, anybody in between, we love you, guardians and grandparents as well. We're rooting for you here. Now, parents in my big free parent evening events ask us, we reach millions of people a year in our weekly live events. They ask us, Josh, what advice would you give a student to help them recognize some of the red flags of a dangerous stranger online? One of the neat things about the Smart Social free live parent evening events that are virtual that you can join in on is you're not going to just hear from superintendents and Josh. You're going to hear from real teens. So let's hear from a student about how she might help a friend recognize these red flags.
If I had a friend talking online to a stranger, I think that I would feel a little bit uncomfortable with the whole situation. I would advise against it because so many indirect issues can come from that, and it could cause something to be worse than if they had just unadded them in the first place. Some red flags that I would have to advise them to cut it off with this person or to stop engaging would be if the person starts to get very involved in their personal life and they seem to be very intrigued in what's going on with them and wanting to know all little details about what they do and who they are, and just very personal details and things that you wouldn't normally share with a stranger in real life. If they're very persistent and constantly wanting to talk to my friend or constantly trying to be involved in their life or wanting to speak to them, I feel like that's kind of a red flag. Another thing would be if they ask them to ever meet them anywhere in person right from the start, if they feel a sense of being uncomfortable or their intuition is just saying it's wrong, or if my intuition is saying something feels wrong with this, then I think that's a major red flag.
All right, parents, don't forget our free Amazing Parent Nights happen every single week. So we're all about we help parents keep their kiddos safe and successful online. Now, parents, if you're struggling with anything, we have the world's best parent guides on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, Netflix, WhatsApp, 450 more, put together and researched by our army of parents nationwide at smartsocial.com. But they're not just in English. They're in English, Espanol, Mandarin, and 9 other languages. No one is left behind. And we have these live events. So we've got sneaky ways video apps keep teens watching. We've got sneaky ways, again, live session number 2. We've got a professional development. All you teachers out there, we love you. We're going to give you behind the scenes on how to talk with kiddos about this. We've got a session number 3. You're never left behind. They're all live. And then we've got it in Espanol. We've got more AI events, tons of dangerous challenges. We're here to be your research team, your helpers. And remember, join our free weekly live events. There's teen-led video lessons. A lot of parents drag their teens in because there's less eye rolling when you hear from another teen. And there's a premium newsletter. All right, Superintendent. In addition to these 220 to 230 conversations we've just been so fortunate to have with your peers nationwide in 45 states and hosting all these events, we've heard from communities. We're hearing that many parents are feeling overwhelmed trying to keep up with fast-moving online trends and digital safety risks. And students are finding ways to increase their screen time and bend the rules, especially when the expectations at school differ significantly from those at home. Kids are clever. And Superintendent, my question for you is, what trends or pain points are you seeing when it comes to parent engagement? Where do you feel families are struggling the most to stay informed or connected?
Well, I would say our kids are so busy. If you are an athlete, you're involved in so much outside of the basketball court. We have our kids involved in so many things. And so I do think our parents are stressed. I don't even know that they're struggling. I just think they're stressed to keep up with all of the expectations, all the events that we have to drive students to, kiddos to, and want to be communicated to from the district and have to read this newsletter, and it's in the district newsletter. And now the news is reporting on schools. And so I just think it's a flood of information where parents are trying to decide, is this true? Is this not true? I mean, our parents are struggling with social media just as much as our kids are, because I can put something out on social media, truth, not truth, 1% of it true. And a lot of our families use that as a way to be informed because it's the easiest. I'm flipping through my Facebook and I'm in a group and someone's talking about something. So I think one engagement piece for our parents is, as they're teaching their children about how to navigate social media, is how do we navigate social media and know what's true and not true? I also think we're trying to find ways as school districts, I just want to say, to stay informed and connected, is as school districts, how do we make it accessible and easy for our parents? One of the things that's happened in social media is I like short snapshots that I can take quickly and digest because I'm busy. If it's too long, I'm not going to read it. And so how do we give people quick snapshots of information and not overload them, but still have them feel informed? So we use talking points as an example where it comes out on a text message. That's easier than going into my email. I could just press on that. It also translates so all of our families have access. And so how do we make it accessible, bite size, that they're able to digest? But we also find that as our families have older children and they're navigating developmental changes in their older children, it's harder to be engaged because your kindergartner can't wait to hold your hand when you go into the school and can't wait for you to serve coffee and be at this event with them. And then at middle school and high school, it's not as cool to have your mom show up or drop you off or come into the school and talk to the teacher. And so then as parents, we're navigating our own child's desires for us to be present or not present and still be informed and still participating as an engaged parent. So I think also one of the pain points is just developmentally what our kids want us to do in the schools.
Yeah, so true. You bring up such a good point about, I've heard from some of our other conversations with superintendents, they've said, when their kids are younger, like you said, they want your help, but when they're older, they might even need more help. They don't know how to ask for it. They want that independence, but they don't know how to come back. And a lot of superintendents have said, you need to probably have that dialogue with them about their online behavior even more when they're older. They actually do want your help when they're 15, 16, 17, 18, even though they may act like it's uncool. I love how you said quick snapshots. You're basically sending text messages with talking points to parents, keep it short. And text messages get like a 98% open rate, which is phenomenal. Bite-sized. I like how tactical and practical you are. I think that's what parents need, is like, what are we going to do to reach them where they're at, give them what they want? and really get in there. That's amazing. Okay, I want to move on for our audience here real quick. And I want to give you a small preview of this month's amazing program that the Smart Social team has put together. It's called Sneaky Ways Video Apps Keep Teens Watching. For our audience, you know that we reach millions of people a year. And one of the biggest themes that we get asked is, Josh, what are some tips to help my teen manage their screen time? Well, rather than hearing from the superintendent and I, let's hear from two amazing teens with tips on how their parents help them reset their screen time.
I just try to hold myself accountable about how much time I'm spending, because you can get lost really easily. While you're doing it, you think 30-second videos, what's the harm in that? But then when you've launched 4 hours out of your day, you feel a lot of regret. Why would I spend 5 hours scrolling on this app before bed when I could have been getting more sleep or being more productive throughout my day? My mom, she always lets me know when I'm just dead scrolling on TikTok for hours. Like, she usually tells me how long it's been. You should probably get up and go do the things that you need to do. So besides holding yourself accountable, it's really helpful if you have a parent or someone that cares about you to hold you accountable for how much time you're losing on those video apps.
Some techniques I use to stop myself from getting sucked into social media is being very aware of why I'm on there, as well as understanding how it's addictive. Even though it can be fun to just sit on my phone and scroll or immerse myself in it, keeping in mind the things I need to do and setting aside the time to do that rather than falling into it like a trap.
Yeah, so true from those teens. And we have so many more of those teen videos, but parents, what's really important is that we have a rich dialogue with our kids. So parents, here's some questions you can ask your teen to have an open conversation, help them evaluate the quality of their screen time. This works for middle school and high school, maybe even a little younger. It's never too early to talk to them about safety. So one idea might be in the car ride home or to school, or maybe around dinner table or whenever. Could be out hiking. Hey, how do you feel after your screen time? Notice how it's not a yes or no question, so they have to actually think about it. And they might roll their eyes. Parents, you get 5 points just for asking. Next, does that app or activity make you feel stronger or weaker after an hour? What do you mean, Mom? Well, how do you feel? Well, after an hour of TikTok, I do feel a little bit bad. I do feel like I'm wasting my time. I'm doom scrolling, as that one teen just said. Okay, so we're starting to open up. Hey, what screen time activities or apps make you feel stronger? Well, that's interesting. I guess when I'm on YouTube and I'm learning about STEM education or cooking or gardening and you dive into those things that your kids are interested in, right? And next, what activities make you feel more focused or relaxed, right? You're just pulling things out. Well, I don't know, when I'm doing this or this or this, it might not have to do with screen time. It might be when we went on that road trip, I felt good. I don't know. And then next, how much time do you think is healthy online doing this? Your kids will start to set boundaries themselves. Superintendent, what are your ideas, suggestions on how to open a rich dialogue with your kids?
Well, one thing that I think is really important, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but the algorithm that's created by what kids are looking at. So asking your student, oh, show me that video that you're watching on TikTok. So you're engaging with it together, but you start to see the content that they're seeing, because that is producing an algorithm for them. And so if it's something funny, is it something scary? What are they watching? So how do you say, show me what you're watching? That video sounded funny, or that I want to watch that with you, so that you can start getting some access. Also, I do think asking our kids, how are you talking to your friends? So one of the things we see is, kids spend a lot of time on Snapchat. They're Snapchatting, they're texting, they're sending pictures of their eye, their face, what they're wearing. And having some clear understanding, because one of the things that I find really difficult with children is that that's how they're socializing. They're socializing through social media. And so how do you help them learn how to socialize in a different way? So asking them, hey, do you want to have that person over? Maybe you want to call them. Tell me about why you're talking to that person. And so asking more questions about that social connection that they're making. Hey, are you friends with that person at school? How do you know them? So that you're understanding who they're Snapchatting. That social interaction is just very different. When we were kids, you had to come over and play. And now we can get on our PS5 and talk to people and play. And how do we see it as sometimes that is the way that kids are socializing? So it's a both and having that conversation. Who are you socializing with? How's it going? Are you friends with them at school too? To start asking those questions and understanding that communication style.
I love what you just said for a lot of reasons. And one of the biggest ones, when you said PS5, a lot of predators now will hang out, whether it's in Roblox. Parents, beware of Roblox, letting your kid be on it alone. It is moving towards our red zone app guide list, which is in the danger zone. But a lot of predators will say, hey, why don't we move the conversation to another app? And you don't need to tell your parents. And what they'll often do is get the kid to go over to WhatsApp or Instagram or Snapchat or Discord or wherever that is. And I love that you basically said, can we invite that person over? Let's chat with them. How do you know them? What do you enjoy talking about? Where did you meet them? I love that you asked that. What would you tell parents about if their kids are chatting with others on video games? How to kind of put the parents' wisdom into the video games so that they're behaving better and better able to manage their emotions in there?
What I would offer to parents is have them play video games in a more general location instead of letting them be in their room with their door shut and that they're gaming in privacy. How do we put them out in the living room? And I know that can be, offsetting to our families, but having them playing the games in a more public place in your home, I think is a way to put some barriers in front of predators, inappropriate conversations, escalation online. It is one helpful tip I would give.
Yeah, such a great tip. Okay, Superintendent, I want to ask you a couple questions. These are a rapid fire question round. First, what can parents do to help their teens reset their screen time?
Parents can help their students reset their screen time by monitoring, having them take a break, and making sure that they add in the screen time they're getting in their school day plus at home. So remember, you're doubling it. It's not just what's at home, but they're also using it at school because we're a 21st century education system. We're teaching them on iPads and computers. So remember, there's two places there. So want to think about that. We need a break when we get home.
That's an excellent tip. My next question for you is, how do these autoplay features and the algorithm-driven feeds at home in the evening after school impact a student's focus and mental health at school the next day?
I want to talk about this algorithm piece and mental health. So if your student or child is digging in and having suicidal ideation, feeling like they're feeling depressed, they're feeling isolated, they're isolating themselves online, that algorithm will keep taking them down that dark hole. That's why, can I see your video? Can you share that with me? Those are things that are really important because that algorithm will get them and it will keep them going down into a place they might not want to do. And so we do see some connections between social media and mental health implications.
Yeah, so well said. What a great tip. Okay, my final question for you, Superintendent, is what's one sign that a teen's video app usage or video game usage is shifting from entertainment to addiction?
So one of the things that we see with students who we feel like are getting more addicted to their social media is moodiness and isolation and stopping socializing with their friends. And that's why the tip of, do you want them to come over versus talking to them only on social media? So that isolation and lack of friendships face to face is one really critical sign.
Yeah, what a great tip. Superintendent, you took a lot of time out of your busy day. Thanks so much for joining us here today.
This was so fun. Thank you for inviting me. I feel very honored to be here.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun. It actually went over a lot because, as the audience knows, I get excited about how do we protect the next generation. Parents, remember, it's all about discussing safety with co-parents, spouses, the village. How do we protect each kid? Talk to the kids when they're rolling their eyes. You're probably doing the tough parenting you need to do, which we love that about you. And we want to make them safe so they can be successful. Just like giving them a car, we don't just give them the keys because they might, and we don't just give them a Ferrari first. They might do donuts in the driveway and hurt somebody. We monitor them, whether they get a little watch or whether they get a Gab phone or one of the competitors that's a watered down smartphone. And we work their way up until they're ready after the age of 16 to have social media. They can have a phone earlier, but after the age of 16, social media, no shame if you've done it early. But that's what some of the psychologists, therapists, and counselors on our podcast are saying is let's wait a little longer. Let your kids, even though they might hate you, let them experience their childhood a little bit longer. Parents, one last tip. Remember that whatever you're posting online, let's remember to try and keep it light, bright, and polite because your kids are modeling what you're doing online, and we want to make sure they're seeing a positive way to do it. I'm Josh Oakes, the founder of smartsocial.com and the host of the podcast. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. We'll see all of you on the next episode. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks for spending time with the smartsocial.com podcast. If today's insights were useful, please share the episode with a fellow parent or educator and subscribe so you never miss our next conversation. And parents, make sure to join one of our next live online events each week to keep your family safe and also enter for a chance to win cool prizes. You can learn more at smartsocial.com. I'm your host, Josh Oakes, and parents, remember to keep it light, bright, and polite because your kids are watching what you're doing online. I'll see you on the next episode.